Hello y'all, and welcome back to another video. I am Nobodium, and this is me reading some more Markiplier from North Korea. Last time we left off on, I want to say, the birth of Markiplier, the birth of the goat himself. And today we're going to, what chapter are we going to? I kind of forgot. It was chapter 8. Let's see. If I can get there. Yeah. Chapter 8. The birth of the second son. Mark. She wasn't expecting of the kid. She was on birth control, but then some things happened. Then they got spermicide, a bunch of condoms. Neither of them worked, and one little sperm drop got in, and we got this chunky monkey named Mark. But let's get right into this. As I neared my last trimester in my pregnancy, my belly had grown so huge that I felt as if I were carrying a whopper-sized watermelon. A whopper? I was uncomfortably comfortable because it was crowded, because my lungs almost taking my breath away, prohibiting me from doing very much. To make matters even worse, my belly kept growing because my due date had passed by 2 weeks. This pregnancy had not been followed by a midwife, because midwives were not offered at a military hospital of the Markiplier in Ohio. Instead, I was assigned to a young, inexperienced female doctor in her last year of residency. I felt that I was starting contractions, so we made several trips to the triage labor and delivery room floor, where I was told that I could not start contractions on my own. Finally, I was admitted to the labor and delivery unit so the doctor could induce my labor. It was the start of 24-hour, unbearably long laboring process. An unsmiling nurse came in and started the IV drip mixed in with pedokin and attached it to my vein. Most of the time during my contractions, I was left alone to deal with the pain. I felt like I was really needed my own mother to comfort me. The worst part of all was that they tightly strapped the monitor's belt on my gigantic belly to monitor my contractions and fetal heart rate. I was totally unable to move in my bed, which made my pain even worse. Occasionally, from time to time, the unsmiling, heartless, unsympathetic nurse who would come to check the long paper strip that was printed out and continuously monitored by contractions and the fetal heartbeat. After delivering the strips, the nurse would increase the pedokin IV drip and totally ignore me. Damn. There's probably some reason why the doctor was like that, but you make her sound like she was like a demon. Full-time pregnancy with my second son, Hawaii, 1989. There's the image right there for y'all. I spent several hours in torturous pain without being given any pain medicine to help ease it. And suddenly, I was overcome with a strong desire to bear down. A newly assigned nurse came into my room and examined my cervix. She announced that I had fully dilated 10 centimeters. The nurse quickly wheeled my bed into the living room. Finally, I was met by my doctor, 2 more nurses wearing blue scrubs, gloves, and goggles to me. The delivery team looked like they had dressed to go fishing and pull in some huge fish. At that moment, all of my modesty went out the window. Now my only goal was to deliver my baby. 2 nurses held my legs far apart, encouraged me to push with each contraction. They induced my labor to begin the long, painful laboring process at the Markiplier Military Hospital, Hawaii, in June 1989. That image right there for y'all. Pregnancy must be scary. I feel so bad for anyone that goes through it. But it is a beautiful thing at the end of the day. You get to make a life. The team didn't seem to mind waiting around during my suffering until the moment my baby started to show signs of bradycardia, a condition when the baby's heart rate was dipping below normal. The consequence of not delivering my baby quickly meant the lack of oxygen might cause my baby to suffer from severe brain damage or something worse. The quickly changing the situation caused the team to panic, including my residency doctor. I had another Markiplier moment. Fortunately, a middle-aged male doctor appeared and he became my new hero as he quickly and decisively took over. I later learned that he was the senior attending doctor. Seeing my desperation, his experienced eyes easily saw why I had such a hard time pushing my baby out. He told me that I should have been delivered by C-section. Another image of Mr. Fishbach and the big old Markiplier. The size of my baby was much bigger than my body could handle, since my baby's head had already seeded out of the opening of my cervix into the cervical wall. The only option was to deliver my baby as soon as possible. At this point, it would be much more dangerous to perform an emergency C-section since time was not on my side. He explained the situation quickly to me and showed me a very long 10-inch needle that he would use to perform a funnel block, saying, now you will not feel any pain while you push. Seriously, I would have taken anything to end my never-ending torture right away. The doctor also performed the episiotomy as my perineum began to feel numb. I saw the doctor holding a delivery forceps to pull my baby's head out. Suddenly, the nurse who was standing next to me and holding my legs to assist me with pushing leaned close to my ear and said, "Your baby is in danger if we don't deliver him on the next push." Upon hearing that, I took my biggest breath and bore down with every ounce of strength I had left as the doctor assisted my delivery using forceps. At last, my baby's head came out, but his thick shoulder became stuck on my pubic symphysis, delaying the birth. Luckily, the doctor was able to rotate my baby's shoulder without causing shoulder dystopia. Finally, Mark Edward Fishbach was born on June 28, 1989. The moment after his birth, everyone in the living room could not believe how big my baby was. A whooper. A whopper? Oh, I really don't know what she was trying to say with that. Mark weighed 10 pounds, 3 ounces. Damn! Coincidentally, my two sons shared the same birth date on the 28th. They are exactly 23 months apart. Cliff looking at Mark at the hospital a few hours after the birth. I'm assuming this is some more Markiplier images. Him standing up. Big old baby. Then we're gonna read chapter 9 as well today. Make sure. Yeah. I'm always kind of scared that I'm not recording. I didn't do that yesterday, and next thing I know, I had to reread a whole chapter and half a chapter. But it was nice. The moment Mark was born, he was quiet and alert as he focused on checking out his new surroundings. Mark seldom cried and made a fuss, and he kept peacefully throughout the night. When his older brother Thomas first saw Mark, Thomas instantly loved him and kissed Mark on his forehead. As they grew up together as brothers, I never saw them fight over toys or fighting with each other. I noticed that Mark's eye color was sky blue when he was born, just like Cliff's, but it changed 1 month later. Mark had natural ability to make people feel at ease. When people came near him, they were instantly smitten by Mark's natural charisma. Even though most babies started crawling between 7 and 10 months of age, Mark was able to get into a crawling position at 2 months. By 3 months, Mark was already crawling around our living room floor. One day, when Mark was about 4 months old, I saw him proudly managing to stand up all by himself while holding onto the coffee table in our living room. When he was 6 months old, he was starting to walk before I realized he was walking by himself at 7 months. A happy boy, just 1 week old. Look at that chonker he is. And I assume that's the brother? I could be wrong. You know, I miss the time when we take pictures of everything. Like, maybe we do that on the phone, but there's something about taking a picture with an old camera and going and having it printed off and saving it into like an album book. There's something about that I've never experienced in myself, even though my mom did that through my early childhood. It's something that the world kind of needs to do in a moment, do again. I feel like with these newer years, we kind of just forget about the moments that pass, and we kind of focus only on the negative. And I'm probably one of the biggest issues with that, but it's something that I think the world needs to shift back into. Mark was growing up so fast, not only physically but also mentally. Rearing Mark was such a breeze that sometimes I had no wonder if Mark was rearing himself. At age 1, Mark was able to run fast. One day, I took Thomas and Mark to a nearby public playground. Before I realized, Mark ran toward the slide and walked up the steps, standing on top of the slide. I ran over to him, thinking he might need my assistance while sliding down. The moment I reached the slide, I realized that there was no slide, just railings going down on each side where the slide should have been. Before I could stop him, Mark placed his forearms on each rail of the non-existent slide and started quickly descending while wearing an ear-to-ear grin. I was completely dumbfounded and frozen in place as I watched Mark's body dangle downward while he slid down his empty imaginary slide. Mark 1 week and Thomas 2 years, with Sunak and Cliff. Big ol' happy family. Even before Mark turned 1 year old and could not speak a full sentence, he started to sing the ABC song from start to finish without making any mistakes. Since I never taught him that, the only explanation I could come up with was that Mark must have learned it from Thomas, since Thomas had been singing the song the day before on our car ride home from his preschool. And then there's a big old colored photo of the two of them at like a lake. And that is all we're going to do today. That was a really good 2 chapters. I liked learning a little bit more of the doctor side. They're not holding anything back. Yeah, Vivian, just come here. And I like how they're using big words, despite, me not understanding them. I think it's cool that they're doing that. Also, like the, how she makes Markiplier sound like he was a prodigy at just doing things real quick. That's pretty cool. Yeah. If you like this video, bomb that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to tune in to the next one. Alright. I hope you have